The president is taking aim at several far-left piggy banks. He is directing the Internal Revenue Service, the IRS, to target wealthy funding networks, bankrolling suspicious and sometimes violent progressive causes. He says, follow the money. That's funny. We've been saying that a lot. The IRS is now gathering a list of candidates to potentially face criminal investigations, including longtime liberal money man, you guessed it, George Soros,
Hey-o.
who is at the root of most of the problems that we have here in New York City. DAs like Alvin Bragg. I digress.
Yeah, the Soros DAs have really just destroyed these once great cities. And, you know, a lot of people are questioning, well, how can they go about this legally? And it's through a RICO statute. And what they will do is if there is rioting that follows some of these groups that are funded by Soros adjacent entities, then that is part of the RICO Act.
Yeah.
You know, so if rioting happens and there is violence and property destruction and damage and an overall feeling of unsafety, then yes, that is an avenue. But of course, you have to be careful because when the shoe is on the AOC foot, as Brian pointed out earlier.
No, nobody was happy when I said that,
And
you wait.
If she's Cinderella and becomes the next president, then you know for sure they're going to be targeting conservative organizations again. Maybe they'll dust off Lois Lerner.
Maybe, oh gosh, that's going back. But
It came up the other night on the Bottom Line, Dagan. We were talking about, I think, the anti-ICE protests in Chicago, and you brought up the idea. It's like, how do these people get here? How are they funded? How are they doing all of this?
where do they get all the bricks from?
That's not the only example, but we could take it to...
And the body armor.
And the body, exactly.
Yeah.
They are well funded.
This is about just using the power of the Criminal Investigation Division within the IRS to enforce the laws that you're not allowed to fund violent protest. And so that's what's afoot, and it's very different than quietly targeting nonprofits because of their political affiliation. This is, as you pointed out, about violence, disrupting commerce and the like. I am concerned, though, broadly speaking, is Newton's third law of motion. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. When it comes to politics, Newton's third law does not apply. For every action, there is an asymmetrically larger reaction. So whatever you do, the left, the liberals, the Democrats will come back and do 10x.
That's no reason not to pursue it.
I'm just saying,
Well,
you better load for bear.
You could do it through the IRS, or Senator Cruz has introduced legislation, basically. So let's make a law defining how you can use RICO to actually go after this. Because people say, well, if you go after the funders of protests, aren't you stifling free speech? And what the defenders of this proposed law say is, you've got to prove, if you go after funders, you've got to prove the intent that you're funding something that you know or want to lead to violence, right? Which is a much higher bar. So for those who are like, this is an affront to free speech, this is going to be very hard to prove, even if you can do it. But the point is, you need something when you look at the evidence on the ground and you realize all the tools of violence are like uniform in these situations. That didn't happen by accident. So it makes sense to go back and look.
Are
and
you
see who's
talking
funding
about
it.
when you send protesters out and they have gas masks so they're ready for... I mean, intent is hard to prove what is in somebody's head, but when you're giving them tools like that to arm themselves because you can anticipate that there will be violence.
That's the point.
Right?
I mean, if you can see that, you can infer there's an intention here, and the intention wasn't to sing Kumbaya and play the guitar badly.
It was to create chaos.
It was to create violence on people or property. That's why
they've been perfecting it for 25 years. And they're figuring out a way to be untraceable, but also to be completely uniform, to your point, Jackie, and to have, like, it is just beyond coincidental that you've got protesters in different cities, thousands of miles apart, with the exact same equipment.
Yeah.